Hey, horror lovers. Tonight we walk through a carnival soaked in blood and into a town where silence kills. One killer played games with his victims, the other took their voices forever. These are the stories of the carnival butcher and the voice collector. Let the horror begin. They called it the Harvest Moon Carnival, a traveling fair that rolled into our small town every October without fail. It was the kind of place you remembered from childhood. Flashing lights, the smell of popcorn and fried dough, and the sound of laughing kids chasing each other between game booths. For years, it felt like magic. Then people started disappearing. A young woman named Vanessa Taylor vanished the night she was seen exiting the funhouse, alone. Her phone was later found in a trash bin near the tilt-a-whirl, but no one saw who she left with. No cameras, no witnesses, just silence. That was 2 years ago. Last fall, a boy from a nearby town disappeared. He had come with a group of friends, texted his mom around 8 p.m., and then never came back. His car was still in the lot. His wallet and jacket were later found in the haunted maze. People whispered about it but kept coming. The carnival was tradition. I never believed in monsters, but that changed the night I worked security at the carnival. I was a part-time guard, hired to help manage crowds during the weekend rush. My shift started at 7 p.m. and went until close. Most nights were uneventful. I walked the grounds, checked in with booth workers, and helped reunite lost kids with their parents. Nothing strange, but something felt different that Saturday. It was the second weekend of October. The moon was huge and orange, and the air smelled like rain. We were expecting a large turnout because the weather had cleared up after days of storms. People were flooding in by the hundreds. Laughter filled the air again, and for a few hours it felt normal. Around 10 p.m. I was stationed near the old funhouse, an aging, squeaky structure at the edge of the grounds. It had those crooked mirrors, spinning barrels, fake cobwebs, nothing too scary. But kids still screamed inside. It was one of the oldest rides at the carnival, and frankly, it should have been retired. That night, though, something caught my eye. A girl, maybe 14, ran out of the funhouse crying. She wasn't laughing like the others. Her face was pale and she kept looking over her shoulder. I approached and asked if she was okay. "There's someone inside," she whispered. "He followed me. He wasn't part of the attraction." I called over another guard to help calm her down and radioed to the operator to shut down the funhouse. I entered alone, flashlight in hand. It was quiet. Too quiet. I moved slowly through the narrow hallways, stepping around old props and cardboard skeletons. My light flicked across the mirrors, each one warping my reflection into something monstrous. I checked every corner. Nothing. Then I smelled it. That sharp, metallic scent, like rust or blood. In the final room, past a crooked clown cutout and a wall of mirrors, I found something that still haunts me. Behind one of the panels was a small crawl space. Inside was a body, a man in his 20s, curled up and cold. His skin was pale, and his face frozen in horror. A red balloon had been stuffed into his mouth. I backed out and called the police. When they arrived, the carnival was put on lockdown. People were kept outside the gates while officers searched the grounds. That's when they found another body, buried behind the Ferris wheel in a shallow grave, wrapped in one of the carnival's oversized clown costumes. Both victims had been reported missing in the past year. Both had last been seen at the carnival. The police reviewed what little security footage they had, but the cameras near the funhouse hadn't worked for months. No one could explain how the killer moved unnoticed for so long. No workers recognized the victims. No one saw anything suspicious. That was the most terrifying part. No one noticed. When the investigation ended, the carnival was shut down indefinitely, but the damage had already been done. Our town changed. Parents stopped letting their kids go out after dark. Stores closed early. Everyone looked over their shoulder. The media called him the Carnival Butcher. They said he used the fair as camouflage. He didn't chase people down or drag them screaming into the night. He picked them off quietly, one at a time. He learned the layout. He waited for the perfect moment, when a guest wandered off alone, distracted by flashing lights or the echo of distant laughter. And then he took them. He used the funhouse as his trophy room. Some said the mirrors were one-way glass. He watched people from the shadows. Chose his next victim based on who looked most distracted, most isolated. Some victims were hidden for weeks before they were found. Others may never be discovered. No one knows if he worked alone or with someone else. But I remember the girl's words. He wasn't part of the attraction. Sometimes I wonder if I passed him that night. A man with a staff badge. Or maybe he wasn't a worker at all. Maybe he just blended in, like a guest, like a father, like someone holding a balloon for their kid. The carnival never returned, but I still have nightmares. I dream of walking the funhouse again, alone, flashlight in hand. Only this time the mirrors don't reflect me. They show faces, bloody, twisted, screaming in silence. And in every mirror over my shoulder stands a man I can't quite see. His smile wide, his face hidden, but always there. I was never the type of person who believed in evil. I thought people did terrible things out of desperation, revenge, maybe sickness. But that changed in 2019 when I moved to Coldwater. It was a small town in upstate New York, the kind of place that looked like a postcard during fall. I was a speech therapist, and I'd been hired to work with a cluster of patients in the area, people recovering from surgeries, strokes, or injuries that affected their ability to speak. It felt like good work, and for the first few months it was. Then one day, a call came from the sheriff's office asking if I could help with a unique case. That's how he phrased it. I met Sheriff Ray Holloway in the hospital. He introduced me to a man named John Marcus. John was in his late 30s, sitting upright in the bed with panic in his eyes. His throat was bandaged, his hands trembling. When I tried to get him to write something down, he struggled to hold the pen. They said he had been found wandering near the woods, barefoot, bloodied, and unable to speak. That would have been disturbing enough, except he wasn't the first. 2 weeks earlier, a teenage girl had been found in a similar state, vocal cords surgically removed, no sign of who did it, and no memory of how she got there. The sheriff told me privately that she had died from an infection shortly after. He didn't tell the town, said he didn't want to start a panic, but the panic came anyway. It started with the whispers. People said they heard crying in the woods at night, but when they went to check, the sound would suddenly vanish. One man swore he saw someone standing outside his window at 3 a.m., not moving, not blinking, just watching. A woman down the road claimed she dreamt of someone climbing into her room and woke up with blood on her pillow. No wound, no explanation. And then more victims. Each time it was the same. The person would go missing overnight. Then days later they'd be found, wandering, terrified, and voiceless. Their vocal cords had been carefully cut out, not ripped, not slashed, removed, like a surgeon had done it in a fully equipped hospital. But we found no tools, no drugs, not even a sign of restraint. The media never caught wind of it. Coldwater was isolated, and the sheriff didn't want reporters swarming in. But the town began to change. People stopped going out after dark. Store windows stayed shuttered. Parents pulled their kids out of school. I remember one night walking past the diner, normally full of laughter, and seeing it completely empty, lights off, chairs upside down, like it had been abandoned overnight. I should have left, but part of me felt I had a responsibility. I'd met the victims, I'd looked into their eyes, and I started to notice something strange they all had in common. They weren't just traumatized. They were trying to communicate something specific. Their eyes would dart toward doorways. Their hands would flinch at certain sounds. One woman began furiously pointing at her reflection in a hospital mirror before breaking down completely. That was when I realized whoever was doing this didn't just want silence. He wanted obedience, control, fear, and he was watching. One night, I stayed late at the clinic to organize my notes on the cases. I heard something outside, just a soft shuffle of feet, then nothing. I peeked out the blinds but saw only the empty parking lot. Still, something about the air felt off. Then I heard the door to the supply closet creak open behind me. I turned slowly but saw no one. Still, I walked over, pulled it open fully, and froze. Sitting there on the shelf was a small red cassette player. No label, no dust. I pressed play. At first, it was just static. Then came a faint sound, barely audible at first. Breathing. Slow, shallow breathing. And then, a whisper. They screamed so loud in their heads, but outside, nothing. I dropped the recorder and ran straight to the sheriff's office. But when we returned together, the device was gone. After that, I knew he had marked me. A few nights later, I awoke to the sound of my own door creaking open. I had locked it. I knew I had. But now it stood ajar. I could feel someone was there. I didn't move. I just lay there, pretending to sleep, heart hammering in my chest. I smelled something faint, something sterile, like a hospital room. And then a hand gently pressed down on my chest, just for a second. Not to hurt me, just to let me know. He was real. After that night, I left town. I packed what I could, got in my car, and drove with no direction. I ended up 3 states away in a motel where I could barely sleep. But I had escaped. At least I thought I had. Because just last week I got a package. No return address. Inside was a cassette, the same kind as before. I found an old recorder and played it. More breathing, then whispering again. You left them, but I'm still here, and I'm still listening. And then, this part still haunts me, it played my own voice, from a conversation I had never recorded, from years ago. Me saying, "Can you hear me?" Followed by a whispered reply, "No, but I can feel you scream." Now I check every door 3 times before bed. I leave lights on, but deep down I know that won't stop him, because he doesn't need noise to find you. He just needs silence.